Okay, I wanted to show you my base, and here's the start of it. This is where it all started. Okay, the point of this game is to launch rockets, and as you can see, I've launched 81 rockets. That's the most I've ever launched in one save, or probably ever. Okay, so this is where I started. If you look at all these miners, they're not doing anything and on nothing because they all ran out of ore to mine. And so here was copper ore, here's iron ore, and here is coal. This was my very first power, um, and you can see it's still kind of doing a little bit of power, but um, each one of these uh, puts out 900 kilowatts of power, and right now I'm doing 8.8 gigawatts of power. I'll explain all that later, but it's a lot more. Okay, this was my very first, or right here was my very first smelting um, spot. It was smelting iron ore into iron plates, and here was copper, or nope, this was all iron. Back here was copper smelting, um, but all this was made to go into my main bus, where all your crafting components go. So let's talk a little bit about belts, just so you can understand. So these are yellow belts. They transport 15 items per second. This is blue belts, which transport 45 items per second. So these blue belts are really take a lot of time to get to, and so at the beginning everything is these yellow belts. All this was yellow belts, and I upgraded them. So this is my main bus. I have 4 lanes of iron, 4 lanes of copper, and you'll see green circuits. These are all made to make into other items, but these are 4 lanes of green circuits, and I'm transporting other things like steel, which you can melt iron into steel, stone, or you can heat stone into stone blocks. Here's some coal, and here I'm making more stone blocks, uh, and I'm making some research packs to do research. But the main bus for me is mainly to make these research packs to research better things. Right now, I've researched everything in the game up to the infinite research packs, but I'll explain those later. Okay, here's some grenades, and it keeps going, and I'm making, here's military research packs. I'm making lubrication, I'm making sulfur, I'm making plastics, and this is red circuits. So green circuits are made into red circuits. And these plastic are coming in. Some more red circuits. And I'm making engines for things for my blue research packs. Here are some trains and some performance. Man, I can't remember. I can't believe productivity. Sorry. Productivity modules. Here's some smelters to purple research packs. Some sulfuric acid is made for batteries. Here's some batteries. These are blue. I know they look purple, but they're blue circuits, which are very hard to make because they require sulfuric acid and a bunch of red and green circuits. And then keep going. Last but not least, these are yellow research packs. So this is the second last research pack. Require a lot of blue circuits, and blue circuits are really hard to make. They also require these I can't believe I'm flying robot frame. I can't believe I'm forgetting these names. Flying robot frames and high density low density structures. Okay, so this is the end of my creation of research packs. So I end my bus and then I start using robots. So robots are really hard to get to. You don't start with robots. So all this I had to put down by hand. All these assembly machines I had to put down by hand. And then eventually you create robots. And so robots are really helpful because they can transfer over long distances and you don't need the need for belts. Okay, so what these are roboports. So this is how the robots, one, are able to navigate the logistics network, but they also get powered by these roboports. So what's happening here is you have something called requester chests and provider chests. So a requester chest requests items and provider chest provides them. And so if you want to make a construction robot here, you request a robot flying frame and some crane circuits, and then it provides it. If you want to request stuff for a logistics robot, it requires red circuits and a robot flying frame. Then it provides them like this. The RoboPort, I'm making a bunch, and it has 360, I think, 480. So it stores those. Okay, so that's how the robots know what to do, get around. Okay, so you add more of these to extend the logistics network, and you can have multiples, but I'll get into that in a minute. So this is called a mall. Right here is called a mall. So it's where I'm building all the things I need. I have, train signals. I have walls. I have some belts. I have gears. I have everything I need here being made by robots. So I don't need them. I don't need to go and I don't need belts. It can just go. So what you can do is request different items, and the robots will bring them to you if they're available. So I don't have to go and get them. If you look at the map, you can see where the logistics. I'll explain all this in a minute. You can see where the logistics section is and the creating section. So the orange is everywhere the logistics robots can fly and pick up and put down. The construction zone is where the construction robots can fly to. They can fly to orange and green. Okay, so like I said earlier, I have 8.6 gigawatts of power at the moment, and it's going down. Oh, I have much more than that. Yeah, I can get much more than that. So I have 1.3 terajoules of power stored in these accumulators. So I have 320,000 accumulators and 333,000 solar panels. So this is where my power is coming from. So you make them, and you can make them however you want, but I made them into this grid, and the solar panels feed power to the base, and then these accumulators store any excess power you have. And then, so I've made all these. Yeah, it's a lot. It's a lot. Here I was trying something new, and it's still working. I'm still creating more. But the cool thing about this is the robots can make these. You can have robots put down stuff for you. Watch. I'll get them to pick up this stone. And you'll see the little robot come pick up the stone and fly away. Okay. So all this stuff, if you're interested, I can explain it, but this is making um, nuclear. Um, this is making uranium 135 and 136 or something. Um, I'm forgetting all the names, but is creating uranium so you can make these nuclear fuel, and I use that for trains. And I'll explain trains in a minute. But I'm creating all that for fuel and all these extra things so I can make more things. So this was basically my starter to mid-level base. Okay, so all this is coming in here, and robots are making, and I'm making all this extra stuff like railroad, copper wire, cement, um, belts. So why am I making this? Okay, so I want to make a mega base. So you can see that this is pretty huge. Like this goes out very far, and I made couple hundred, 300,000 of these solar panels. Okay, so there's also oil. You have these things that pick oil from the ground, and then you you make you split the oil into three things: heavy, light, and petroleum. Heavy oil, light oil, and petroleum. And you make different things with them. Okay, cool. So I'm doing all this so I can make a bigger factory. So let's go over to the show you what I'm making on the bigger factory.